The Conservatives demand a debate on the technical recession, while the Prime Minister calls anti-Semitism in Canada a scourge. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
The top news stories
and conversations that matter to you.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
Try as they might, the Conservatives won't get an emergency debate in the House of Commons on Canada's recession. The Conservatives have been demanding such a debate since StatsCan released a GDP report on Friday, showing the economy in a technical recession. But yesterday, the Speaker of the House ruled against the Conservatives and said the issue didn't meet the threshold of Parliament to hold an emergency debate. So the Conservatives are trying again with a motion calling on the government to reverse all of its economic policies. MPs will be debating that for most of the day today. Prime Minister Mark Carney, who has not taken any questions from news reporters since the StatsCan report was released on Friday, wasn't in the House of Commons yesterday and won't be there today. He'll be in Quebec. But Pierre Poli was in the House of Commons claiming the Carney government's economic record is the worst in the G7.
The group of 7 industrialized nations, they all face tariffs and global economic forces, but Japan is not in recession. The United States is not in recession. The United Kingdom is not in recession. France is not in recession. Germany is not in recession. Italy is not in recession. The only G7 country in recession is Canada. Why is it that Canada, under this Liberal Prime Minister, is the only G7 country in a recession today?
With the Prime Minister not in the chamber, it was up to his energy minister to defend the government's record, and Tim Hodgson blamed the poor economic performance on the United States.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member should do his economic homework. He should understand that Canada is the most integrated country in the world with the United States. They have declared a trade war on us. This side of the House understands that. We will control what we can control. That's why we're building new mines at Red Chris. That's why we're building new pipelines on Sunrise. That's why we're building 4 new mines in Saskatchewan, a uranium mine, a potash mine, and a copper mine. They should start to understand economics and try to help build this country instead of tear it down.
But that was thin gruel for the leader of the opposition, who rhymed off a laundry list of dismal economic numbers.
Mexico shares a border with the United States and is as integrated with the U.S. as we are. And Mexico is not in a recession. Only Canada, in all of North America, only Canada is in recession. Not only that, since this Liberal Prime Minister took office, he's lost 46,000 jobs, 112,000 in the last 3 months alone. We have the second highest unemployment in the G7, a third higher than the U.S. The economy has contracted 3 of the last 4 quarters. Over $20 billion of net investment has fled the country. 5 consecutive quarters of investment dropping. Mortgage delinquencies up a third, a 17-year high. Why are we the only country in a recession?
The Minister of Defense, David McGuinty, handled that question, outlining all the ways he says the Liberal government is supporting the Canadian economy and creating jobs. And he accused Pierre Poilievre of running down Canada.
The Leader of the Opposition should take note of some of the facts. For example, 3,500 jobs annually being created with our Joint Support Ships contract, 2,300 jobs to produce our AOP ships, 1,800 jobs for our fixed-wing search and rescue, 700 jobs for our remotely piloted aircraft system, 5,300 direct jobs for our River-class destroyers, Mr. Speaker. The list is very long. The Leader of the Opposition should stop running down Canada and join us in our efforts.
The next major economic report will come this Friday when StatsCan releases the latest labor force survey, otherwise known as the unemployment report. The reason Prime Minister Mark Carney was not in the House of Commons yesterday is because he traveled to Toronto to deliver a major speech on his government's plan to fight anti-Semitism. At a synagogue in Toronto, Prime Minister Carney called the rise in anti-Semitism in Canada a scourge that is failing the civic compact for Jewish Canadians.
Across our country, anti-Semitism has surged to levels not seen in the post-war period. Last year, over 2/3 of all religion-motivated hate crimes were directed at Jewish Canadians, who make up only 1% of the population. I'm afraid this room knows what I'm about to say all too well. You've lived it. But I want everyone to hear it. Anti-Semites in Canada have fired bullets at Jewish schools. They have thrown firebombs at synagogues. They've attacked community centers. They've targeted Jewish-owned businesses, harassed Jewish patients at hospitals, drove Jewish students from common spaces on our university campuses. They have desecrated our Holocaust memorials.
The Prime Minister avoided weighing in on the current war in the Middle East or Israel or his government's foreign policy with respect to a Palestinian state. What he did announce was a ministerial advisory council on rights, equality, and inclusion that will be chaired by Liberal Cabinet Minister Mark Miller. Mark Gold, a retired senator and law professor, former chair of the Canada-Israel Committee, will also join that council. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know, and this is News Radio.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
We're normally joined at this time by Professor Ian Lee from the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. We spoke this morning. He was ready to go for an interview with us today, but we're just having a little bit of trouble connecting with him. So while we try to connect with Professor Ian Lee, is he on the line now? Oh, he's here now. Okay. All right. Hello, Professor. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, you have great timing, Professor. It's great to hear from you. And we have a very big issue to talk about. Canada's AI strategy is going to be released this week. We have for the first time ever in Canada, we have a minister of AI, someone you know very well, Evan Solomon, of course. So this is a strategy that's been a long time coming. It's been delayed more than 5 months, mostly because the AI technology keeps advancing. It's sort of outpacing the ability of Ottawa to keep up. So how do you think the government is going to regulate AI? Is it even possible to regulate AI?
I'm glad we started there, Rob. And first off, I'm doing an enormous amount of research on this for a whole bunch of reasons, not just because I'm talking to you, but because I think it's the number one issue facing universities today. We're having meetings on this, and not just at Carleton, everywhere across Canada and States. I read the Chronicle of Higher Education. That's all they're talking about nonstop, is this whole issue of, AI in the classroom, and how do you even know who you're grading, because you don't know that. If the student submits it to AI and it produces a paper and they say, I authorized it, well, how do you know? Or if they say, I authored it. So there's all kinds of problems surrounding it, and I have studied it. It's here to stay. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. And I know there's some people, I'm not saying Evan Solomon, I don't really yet know whether he believes that the government of Canada can regulate AI. If they do, I'll be blunt, they're delusional. It is such a huge thing, and there's two countries in the world, okay? And I've read a lot on this too. There's two countries that are just far ahead of everybody else, and we know who they are. One's called China and one's called America. And they're both in a race to get there first, or at least to dominate in AI. And so this is not going to change. We are very small players compared to the U.S. or China, and we are not going to. The idea that we can regulate the internet is about as ridiculous as somebody saying that we can regulate the weather in January when it's minus 25. And I really mean that. I mean, if somebody said, oh, yeah, we got to get rid of this minus 25 stuff, it's really unpleasant, people would just laugh at you and say, you can't regulate the weather. Well, I think that a discussion of regulating the AI is as silly as saying you're going to regulate the weather or snow in January. First off, it's around the world. It's not in one country. There's no barriers. There's no geographical borders.
Yeah, but you would want the government to have a strategy, because there is the opportunity for economic benefit here. There's the opportunity for economic productivity, for example, which is a big problem in Canada. There's the potential for So there's a potential for productivity gains. There's the potential to maybe streamline the delivery of some public services. And we want, and I know the government wants this, it wants what's known as digital sovereignty. I mean, there's a news report today, 85% of the data centers, for example, in Canada are owned by 3 big American technology companies. So you would like to help foster along, if you could, some kind of Canadian AI industry if you're the government. Do you not?
Now I completely disagree with you. The first part, let's deal with the first part. Yes, I'm not suggesting we shouldn't do anything. AI is here to stay. And yes, governments can do things to influence its adoption. And to the extent that we're doing things like saying we want to help healthcare, which needs a lot of help. They really do. To get completely away from paper-based systems to AI analyzed databases. Absolutely. So I applaud that to the extent that it's to facilitate some industries' adoption of AI. I have no problem with that whatsoever. That's an astute thing, and I salute the government for going in that direction. The digital sovereignty is a canard that goes back to literally my time in my youth. And I have been so opposed to this idea because I think it's nonsensical. The idea that I worked my very first serious job, where you wore a suit and a tie and that, not being a waiter in a restaurant as they were called then. I was working for Avco Financial Services, which was a 100% American-owned company. And I used to get in debates with people about, the whole idea of sovereignty and ownership of our companies. And I said, this is ridiculous. They're paying me a salary in Canadian dollars. I deposit it every 2 weeks at the bank, and I use it to buy my groceries and pay my rent. And it's good Canadian green money. Who cares? I've even said this to you in past. I fly around the world teaching, and I fly on Lufthansa. I haven't lost my Canadian identity because I'm flying on a German airline instead of on Air Canada. Right. I fly on China Eastern Airline, and I haven't become Chinese. So this idea that the data centers have to become Canadian is just absolute phooey. 75% of our retailers in Canada are American-owned, so Canadians can't even deny the data. We've been importing foreign capital from the beginning of the country because we are a small country relatively, and we don't have enough capital to find finance and support. The question is not, are they Canadian owned? If they're doing something that we don't like, you can regulate the industries, whether they're Canadian or foreign. And that's the role of Parliament, is not to own the hockey team and tell Sidney Crosby when to shoot the puck. Their job is to be the referee of the hockey game, neutral, impartial, and not own one of the hockey teams or tell one of the hockey players when and what and where to go.
Okay. We'll stop here for now. Look, I want to ask you, there's a lot of hype around AI. Some people think it's leading to a stock market bubble.
Yes.
You listen to the promoters. They say this is going to transform your life in ways you can't even yet imagine. I want to know what you think about the buzz, the hype around it. When we come back, this is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Professor Ian Lee is with us from the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. We've been talking about AI. There's a lot of hype around AI. Some people think it's a stock market bubble. Certainly the true believers say this is going to be a technological revolution, the likes of which you have never seen. Could we be in a bubble because of AI? What do you think?
Both are, believe it or not, the one's a contradiction of the other, but you can have both. You can have a bubble where, and I mean by that, the dot-com bubble, which was a bubble, huge amounts of capital flowed in, and some of them did fail and they went bankrupt. But that's the way that markets work with typically a technological disruption. That doesn't mean that the technology was invalid. Nobody suggests, I don't think anyone would be so foolish as to suggest that because the dot-com bubble melted and a whole bunch of companies went bankrupt, that therefore we stopped using technology. I mean, the technologies went forward and went stronger and stronger and more digital after that. So the bubble was just a timing question. Too much came in too quickly, and it wasn't sustainable in a short run. But over the next 20, 30 years, a lot of those all those industries did digitize completely. So that's the first point. Mm-hmm. The second point is, and I want to bring this out because I really think it's important, Rob. I won't go so far as to say it's unprecedented, never been seen before. But I do think it is on the same scale as electricity. And I don't mean that flippantly. People seem to think that electricity was around forever. My mother grew up in the Depression, and I read the book of Lyndon Johnson growing up in Texas in the Depression. People don't realize in large parts of the rural in Canada and the United States in the 1930s, that's only 100 years ago, they did not have electricity in their houses. So people who think that this is something in the third world from 10,000 years ago, it wasn't. We didn't. Electricity, and I mean ubiquitous electricity in every last home and building, etc., is a very recent phenomenon. But there's nobody that suggests that it wasn't unbelievably transformative. The thing is, I think people are overestimating the immediacy of the transformation. I read a wonderful new study, just a short study from MIT Technology Review just yesterday, and they said it takes time to adopt these technologies and work them through the value chain. They said, according to Census Bureau data of this year, only 1 in 5 companies in the U.S., that's the center of capitalism in the world, only 1 in 5 companies have even adopted AI so far. So there's a lot of rollout and implementation. So yes, it's going to be transformative, but it's not going to be all in the next sort of, 3 months or 6 months. It's going to be in the next, like online, digital media and the digitization of communications. That unfolded over a 5 and 10 year period before the post office started to really collapse. Well, you're going to see that kind of rollout, I think. You're going to see for the next 10 and 15 years, major impacts and consequences from the rollout and adoption of AI.
Okay, so very quickly, and nice segue to Canada Post. It now has a deal with its workers. We only have 60 seconds. What next for Canada Post?
Well, I'll be real quick. In the short run, it's going to give stability, which they desperately needed because it was alienating and driving customers away. In the long run, I think it's going to be harmful because it's going to postpone the restructuring of the post office. And the one thing they don't have is time. They don't have 8 or 9 years to do the transformation. They literally have maybe a year or two. They're hemorrhaging, and less people, fewer and fewer people are using the post office. And I think they've only got 2 or 3 years. So this is going to slow down the response to the crisis. And so that's going to accelerate, I think, the eventual decline and death of the post office.
Okay. Good to hear from you today. I'm glad we could connect. We'll speak soon.
Yes, my pleasure, Rob. Thanks very much.
Yep, thank you. Professor Ian Lee from the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. This is News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues
on News Radio.
It's time for our Tuesday Newsday panel. So it's time for Focus Alberta. Whatever will we talk about today? Mount Royal University, well represented. Professor Laurie Williams and Professor Duane Bratt, both with the Political Science Department there. Welcome to both of you.
Hey, Rob.
Good to be with you, Rob.
Yeah. Professor Williams, I would like to start with you on whether you think there might be some soul searching going on in central and eastern Canada. I'll read you a little bit from John Ibbotson in today's Globe and Mail. I mean, if there was ever a paper for the Laurentian elite, it would be the Globe and Mail. He writes, decades of decisions made in Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal have stoked the anger that led Ms. Smith to call this vote. The Laurentian elites are every bit as responsible for this situation as is the Premier or anyone else. What do you think about that? Do you think Eastern Canadian Laurentian elites helped to contribute to this rise in support for Alberta's separatism?
Well, I will say that other parts of Canada, and particularly central Canada, tend to be focused on the things that are more immediate to them and perhaps haven't been aware of the sense of disenfranchisement and anger that has grown in other parts of the country. It's not unique to Alberta. It just happens to be most acute here at this point in time. This is potentially good news that Canadians across the country might have better understanding for one another, and that might actually lead to a consistent pattern of policies and interactions that are more respectful and sensitive to differences.
What do you think, Professor Bratt?
Well, I would add that I would call John Ibbotson a Laurentian elite himself. A Globe and Mail columnist from Toronto is as Laurentian elite as you're going to find, but he is also in his writings, whether it was the Big Shift and other books, been much more sympathetic to issues of Western Canada than most central Canadian columnists. So this column that he wrote is consistent with what Ibbotson has written in the past. And I think there is some blame to go around here. When you look at some of the environmental policies, I remember back when Jean Chrétien was Prime Minister, had the oil sands been in Quebec and hydro been in Alberta, would the policies of the Chrétien government have been the same? You look at Stephen Guilbeault and some of the others who make a comment about, Quebec separatism being legitimate, Alberta separatism being illegitimate. I do not believe it's all central Canada, the way it's been described, the way that Smith has said that separatism is due to Justin Trudeau and Stephen Guilbeault. But clearly they're contributing factors. There is no doubt. And it's tough to get across the hostility in Alberta towards Guilbeault in particular. There was not a lot of love lost in his resignations.
What about that, Professor Williams? Do you think Mr. Guilbeault contributed to this, where we are right now with the state of things between Ottawa and Alberta?
Yeah, I think there's no question that some of the comments that he made, and publicly, as well as the fact that he was so closely connected to policies that were seen as significantly detrimental to economic development and growth in Alberta. I think in particular, things like, for example, the emissions cap that applied only to oil and gas and not, for example, to manufacturing. Those are the kinds of things that are quite problematic. The unfairness of this is in fact partly, or perhaps largely, what has got so many Albertans, and there are lots of Albertans who aren't separatists. Maybe some are still flirting with the idea of voting in this referendum for a continued process. But that sense of unfairness is quite widely spread. Not having a voice at the table, being dismissed, being the concerns being delegitimized, and I think in particular the fact that Stephen Guilbeault is from Quebec, and that was part of the reason why he was so central in Justin Trudeau's cabinet. Quebec is also seen as both an example of how to get more autonomy in the relationship with the federal government in particular, but also it's seen as an unfair recipient of monies. In particular, the fact that Quebec charges less for electricity than the market price, and that isn't included in the calculation for the equalization formula. The way that the formula is structured is seen as being quite unfair. So Guilbeault, both as an environmentalist who doesn't recognize the fact that the oil and gas industry here has tried to balance energy and the environment, and also the fact that he has been so disrespectful of the industry in the province in the past has been problematic.
Okay. Yeah, speaking of Quebec, that's where the Premier of Alberta is. She'll be there today and tomorrow. I want to ask you about that. Alberta Premier is, Danielle Smith is meeting with the new Premier of Quebec today in what they call the National Capital Region of Quebec City. So we'll talk about that. When we come back, it is Focus Alberta. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know on News Radio.
You have questions
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers.
on News Radio.
It's Focus Alberta with Professor Lori Williams and Professor Duane Bratt from the Political Science Department of Mount Royal University. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith will meet with the new Premier of Quebec today, Christine Fréchette. There are separatists in the CAQ party in Quebec, which is the governing party for now. It won't be after the election this fall, the way things are going. It's not a hardcore separatist party like the Parti Québécois. Premier Fréchette says she's not a separatist anymore, hasn't been for more than a decade, but does want a better deal for Quebec from Ottawa, the same way Premier Smith would say she wants a better deal for Alberta from Ottawa. Professor Bratt, what do you think these two premiers will talk about? What do Quebec and Alberta have in common?
They both want more powers from Ottawa, and that has been consistent going back multiple decades. Alberta has a bit of a love-hate relationship with Quebec, as we mentioned in the previous segment. But what they do admire and where they are unified is on gaining more powers for their provinces. So, for example, we are going to have a referendum in Alberta on October 19th, and some of the constitutional questions are about the appointment of judges made by the provinces, not by the federal government, and getting rid of the federal spending power. This is the ability of the federal government to intervene into provincial jurisdiction with cash, but with conditions. Think of healthcare and dental care and childcare and things like that. Both Quebec and Alberta have long opposed federal spending power. They have written a joint letter with Ontario and Saskatchewan on the appointment of judges by the provinces. There's a lot of common ground here. Some of the crackdowns on immigration that the CAQ has done, I think, echo what we see in Alberta. But where the big differences are is the CAQ came to power promising no more referendums, no more discussion about separatism. What they wanted was autonomy. And the Quebecers, who were tired of that debate, really gravitated to the CAQ. In the case of Alberta, Danielle Smith put that separation question on the ballot, even though she is essentially opposing it. So there are some real similarities and differences between the UCP and the CAQ.
Yeah. Where do you see common ground here, Professor Williams?
Well, again, those concerns about the federal government intervening. Duane mentioned some of the policies involved, and again, I don't know how widely spread concern about things like healthcare, childcare. Again, I think many Albertans like the idea of $10 a day childcare, and whether it comes from the federal government or the provincial government isn't entirely clear. I don't know that that's a broadly or widely shared concern of just ordinary Albertans, whereas I think in Quebec, because it's connected more to cultural things, and in fact, many of the policies that the federal government has put into place have actually been inspired by Quebec. I do think it's quite important. Two things are quite important. One is that the CAQ and the current premier is not in favor at all of separation, and has pointed, or that party and many who now oppose separation have pointed to the costs of all of this separatist history, the two referenda held in Quebec, the financial costs, the loss of business opportunities and so forth. That's been the negative of pushing for separation rather than greater autonomy. And that's a lesson I think that Alberta could well use. The other thing that's really important is that even though the PQ, the Parti Québécois, is ahead in the polls currently and says that it wants to hold a referendum, the reality is the majority of Quebecers and Albertans are against holding a referendum. And yet these discussions are ongoing despite the fact that the majority of the populations in both provinces oppose it.
You mentioned the cost. I'd like to ask you both about that. There's a newspaper report today. The Smith government is preparing a report showing almost a $400 billion startup cost to set up an independent Alberta, roughly $80,000 for every Albertan. Now, I will point out, Jacques Parizeau always used to tell Quebec separatists, independence will cost more. When separatists call my show, Alberta separatists call my show, they're convinced this will offer them huge money savings. And Alberta will be more prosperous than ever, and life will be more affordable than ever. A report like this, how could this impact, do you think, Professor Bratt, the enthusiasm among the separatists?
It's not going to affect the hardcore, but there is another group that is susceptible to these wild claims about, all of that federal income tax that you pay would go directly back to you, and you would save thousands of dollars. It's one thing for economists like Trevor Tombe to go through the value of freedom, that the separatist economic document, and just identify where all the flaws are. It's another if you actually have a report coming from the government of Alberta. And so what Smith said yesterday was not wrong. but I was really surprised that she said it because she has, in some cases, been courting separatists, in other cases not. This would clearly put her on the Team Canada approach, and it demonstrates one of the big fundamental differences between attitudes towards separatism in Quebec, which is primarily about identity, and those in Alberta, where it's primarily about money. And so if you show them that, no, there's not a cost savings, in fact, you will be poorer. Now, some separatists recognize that, but they say that's in the short run. In the long run, we'll be much wealthier. In Smith's answer, she said, then there's the ongoing costs, even after you do that. And so I'm going to be very curious to see what sort of documentation the provincial government comes up with to back up those numbers, because they're striking.
I'd like your thoughts on that, Professor Williams, but if you will, we'll wait until we come back. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now you know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
From Mount Royal University, Professor Laurie Williams, Professor Duane Bratt are both here with Focus Alberta. Professor Williams, on this idea, it's going to be very expensive, $400 billion to set up an independent Alberta. It will cost you $80,000 for every Albertan. How do you think that message would be received from the Smith government?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to understand that so much of the argument in Alberta is, yes, it's a fairness argument, but it's focused on economic unfairness and the fact that Alberta is giving more than it's getting from Confederation, and that people will be better off financially. This flies in the face of that. I think there's a contrast in Quebec in that their language and their culture are so important to them. They're willing to pay, for example, more taxes in order to support their arts, their film industry, and so on and so forth, because they see it as essential and a good investment, if you like, in their future. So I think this rather striking figure, and not only, again, as Duane pointed out, it's not just the $400,000 up front, it's going to continue to cost Albertans money. That will hit a lot of people quite hard. But again, there are those who are convinced that leaving is going to be better both economically as well as just in terms of Alberta's sort of ideological mix and so forth, its population and so on. And they won't buy it. Partly they'll question the figures that are coming from the provincial government. Facts don't always change people's minds, as we often see. If this is an emotional or a visceral or identity matter for voters, then the financial figures aren't going to make a difference. Yeah.
Okay. Prime Minister Harper, former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, will make the case for Alberta remaining part of Canada. How influential could that be, Professor Williams?
I think Stephen Harper is seen as more of a neutral voice. Right now, Pierre Poilievre is polling below Mark Carney. Daniel Smith is about the same as Mark Carney. I think Stephen Harper is, because he's from Alberta, because he's seen as advancing Alberta's interests in many cases, even though the equalization formula that we currently have was authored by him. I think he is seen as a credible voice, somebody who understands the economics. And again, to the extent this is an economic argument, that's going to make a difference. But he'll be one of a number of figures involved in this. We've got 5 different groups right now in the Federalist campaign. Forever Canadian with Thomas Lukaszuk, Vote to Stay with Monty Stolberg, Lead Not Leave with Ken Bosencool and a number of academics. Alberta's Voice, that is aligned sort of with the Alberta Liberal Party and focus on all 10 questions in the referendum, and Fight Back Now by the AFL. So his voice will be one of many, but I think one of the more credible, resonant voices in Alberta.
Oh, yeah, I would say. Yeah. Can't hurt Professor Bratt in 60 seconds.
No, and, he's not involved in active partisan politics. That helps. And he remains very popular amongst the conservative circles. Progressives are already adamantly opposed to separation, but the conservative movement is split. He's a powerful voice. Is he going to convince the Jeff Raths and the Mitch Sylvesters? No, he's not. The very fact that he was Prime Minister of Canada, they would rule him out. But I think for a lot of other people, he brings a lot of credibility to the table.
Okay. Thanks to the both of you. I really enjoyed the discussion today. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Duane, Bratt, Lori Williams, both professors, the Political Science Department at Calgary Mount Royal University. Talkback is coming up next here on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. We have a big issue to talk about today. AI. Artificial intelligence, AI, Canada's strategy for AI. 1-833-668-2577 is our call-in line. It's kind of a two-part question today. Do you think AI will be revolutionary? Do you think AI will change the world? We're told that all the time. AI is going to change the world. Do you think so? If you think it's going to change the world, do you think it's going to change the world for the better or for the worse? What do you think? AI, your experiences with AI. What do you think about it? Where this technology is right now, where it's going, what its impact could really be? At 1-833-668-2577. One of the reasons we want to talk about AI today is because it's going to be major news this week in Canada. We have a minister of AI now in the government, in the federal government. We have never had one of those before. The minister of AI is Eben Solomon, the well-known broadcaster. He used to host Power and Politics on CBC, Power Play on CTV. He's now the minister of AI. He's a Liberal MP from Toronto. And he, along with the prime minister, sometime this week are going to release Mark Carney's policy on AI, its strategy for AI, and how the government is going to both embrace this industry because it might offer opportunities for economic growth. It could improve the delivery of public services from the government. That's one thing the strategy is supposed to deal with, but also how can Canadians, especially Canadian youth, Canadian workers, especially Canadian workers, be protected from the dangers of AI, given that AI could disrupt entire industries and lead to lots of job losses. That's another thing that the government is trying to come to terms with. And as well, how will Canada make sure that all the AI infrastructure is not dominated by foreign, mostly American tech companies? That's something called digital sovereignty or AI sovereignty. How will the government make sure AI doesn't mean Canada's surrendering its sovereignty to other countries? Like I said, big issues. And the release of this strategy has been delayed time and again because the technology is advancing at such a pace. The government is having a hard time keeping up with the technology. By the time it was coming up with policies, the policies were already out of date. Look, AI, everyone, it's a big deal. Okay, it's a big deal. When the Pope is releasing major papers from the Catholic Church about AI, that's something worth paying attention to. When our Prime Minister is talking to the Pope and asking him about his major paper on the future of AI, that is something worth paying attention to as well. And then there is what the promoters and the stakeholders in this business are saying about it, the true believers of AI. And the true believers in the powers of AI really do feel that this technology is going to change the world as we know it. And they have said, we can't fathom what is about to happen to us. They talk about how there's going to be a world before there was AI and the world after AI, that it's that revolutionary. It's like Professor Ian Lee joined us today. There was the world before electricity and the world after electricity. There's a time before the internet, a time after the internet, a time before the automobile and after the automobile, a time before the printing press, after the printing press. It's going to be revolutionary. Our lives are all about to change. Life as we know it will never be the same. No aspect of society will be untouched. That's what Evan Solomon said just a few days ago. That we are about to live through another industrial revolution, this one driven by AI. That's how they talk about the technology. So I would say it's important the government at least has a strategy about it. But again, here's what we want to know. To get the conversation started, do you really think it will be revolutionary? Will it change the world? Will it change your world? Is it already changing your world? If you think it's going to change the world, is it going to change the world for the better or for the worse? One of the concerns, for example, is that the AI revolution, if that's going to be a thing, one of the concerns is that the power of the technology will be concentrated in just a few hands. It will be the Googles, the Metas, the OpenAIs, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the X's of the world. And all of these companies are already led by people who are already billionaires many times over, and they're about to become trillionaires. And the wealth and the power will be concentrated in very few hands, perhaps like never before, and the rest of society will have to deal with it. On the issue of Canadian sovereignty, as I said, a report today that says 85% of the cloud computing infrastructure in Canada is owned by 3 American companies, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. And that raises concerns about Canada's sovereignty. If so much computer power is owned by foreign companies, and especially now, because of Canada's relationship with the United States, these are American tech giants, that's something to worry about. And those are just two. And just two of the many, many issues that we can explore with your help today as we try to figure out how you feel about this technology, your thoughts on it, as the government tries to ready the release of its strategy for the AI world that we're all apparently about to live in. So again, let's start with these questions. We'll see where the conversation takes us. Do you think AI will be revolutionary? Do you think AI will change the world? If you think it will change the world, will it change the world for the better or the worse? 1-833-668-2577 is our call-in line. If you've never called before, you're a first-time caller, just mention that. It will make your call a priority. And let's talk about what's coming our way with AI. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is Talkback. So talk back on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Let's consider these conversation starter questions today. Do you think AI will be revolutionary? Will it change the world? If it will change the world, will it change the world for the better? Will it change the world for the worse? And let's see where the conversation takes us on AI with the federal government getting ready to release its AI strategy this week, something that will be closely watched in Ottawa. 1-833-668-2577 is our call-in line for Talkback as we start with some first-time callers. Brian is up first in Calgary today. Hello, Brian.
Hey.
Hi, Brian. What do you think, Brian, on AI, Brian? Where are we going with this technology?
I got some bookmarks made for my bookstore. All I had to do to say the name of the bookstore, and I wanted to view a Calgary in it, and it was perfect. It took a second. But
you did this using AI. You wanted a poster for your bookstore, right?
Bookmarks.
Bookmarks.
But
okay.
Anyway,
okay. Yeah.
It came out really good.
Yeah.
And it was easy.
Yes.
But I don't know. AI could be good and bad in many ways, but it's just like when the calculator came out, it made it easy for me in school.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
But your teachers might not have been very impressed, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But now they're allowed
imagine what teachers. Well, imagine what teachers are dealing with now in the classroom with AI, and how they have to navigate that with AI now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It's just like the internet and Facebook and all that other stuff that came out.
Well, they say it's that's just scratching the surface, and it's going to be a lot bigger than the internet was. We have a comment today in the news media. It's going to be 50 times bigger than the .com boom. 50 times bigger.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary, but what do you do?
Is there anything you're worried about? Like you say, it could be good, it could be bad. What could be the bad?
The bad would be that AI takes over all our jobs and
right.
And
the
all
disruption
that, right?
to industries, the potential for unemployment, right?
Yeah. No work, no more. Yeah, we don't need workers anymore because we got AI in there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be playing some clips as we make our way through the program. I mean, they're talking about that. This is not even just generational technology. I thank you for your call, Brian. Lines available there. This is like something that is like centuries in the making. This sort of opportunity only comes along every few centuries. That's how they're talking about AI technology right now and what it could mean to the world. Ed is in Calgary as well today. Hello, Ed.
Yo, Rob.
Yo, Ed.
There are, I think, there should be a lot of concerns when it comes to AI and technology in the future because we're looking at it as something that people now rely on entirely too much. You just had a caller on that said that he made his own bookmarks for his bookstore and did not choose to hire a graphic designer or pay for images that could be used on these bookmarks because I'm assuming it's something that he's going to sell or use promotionally. And I see way too many businesses that are relying on AI, creating images, creating videos, doing all of these things, and taking away from creatives in this world. Not only that, but not creating any more creatives. So now you're looking at AI eventually aggregating itself. So when there's no more people to create these things, create images, create music, create other things, it's just going to be an amalgamation of all of the crap that AI has been spewing out already.
Right. So what about what's the future look like for our creative industries, for our cultural industries, for example, whether that's as you say, could be graphic design, could be music, could be art, could be just about anything, right? What's the future of that industry?
I mean, the future of it is basically going to be, going after those that will use AI to create their own. Say you have a song that has a riff that was created by AI that has a riff from a Bob Dylan song. Will Bob Dylan's estate then go after that person because it's so recognizable as Bob Dylan, or can you tell that an image is being created from, say, a skyline of Calgary? I lived in Texas for a while, and I took a picture of the skyline of Dallas and found it used on other websites. There was nothing I could do, but if that image is part of an AI-generated image that came from my picture, how do I get my rights to that? And I think we'll see the rise in lawyers, more people that are willing to break down the material, to find the sources, to find where this stuff came from, to then go after rights.
So it's sort of like when the peer-to-peer networks came out and threatened the music industry with things like Napster and LimeWire and things like that. The threat to that and the blowback from that from the music industry was swift, and those were shut down. But they're talking about this sort of technology is on a scale many times greater than that. So you see a tremendous threat here.
Yeah, and I believe that regulation is the key, not because, obviously regulation is the key to anything, but because people need to understand that they need to think for themselves. And I think we'll get into a very dangerous time when people are not thinking for themselves.
Really interesting. Thank you. We're off to a great start today with the discussion. We have lots of lines available as we talk about AI today, the future of AI and how it could impact our world on Talkback, on News Radio. Yeah, we're talking about AI today. Now, one of the top people in the AI world is Sam Altman. He's the head of OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, one of the world's most widely used AI apps. We're going to play clip number 1 here coming up, Curtis. Altman did an interview recently on CNBC, made a lot of claims. He said, for example, AI is not the kind of technology that comes along once in a generation. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. He was being interviewed by CNBC's David Faber. Play the tape, please, on that.
But I think people are right to be anxious, and I understand it. You know, this is not even a technological shift that happens every generation. This is one of the big ones, and
if not one of, maybe
one of the
biggest.
Yeah, and so it would be imprudent not to have some real caution around that.
Well, on that, on the AI backlash, and I have been speaking to a number of the leaders in the industry who have been saying maybe we haven't done enough to articulate the benefits, which may be difficult to do. But there's not just opposition to data centers like this. There is a more significant, perhaps, opposition to what it's going to do to society. Yeah. How do you feel as the leader, one of certainly the key leaders in this, in terms of your ability to combat that backlash?
So it's a huge challenge. And again, as I said, I think this is there's something good about this. Society should have antibodies against too rapid of change. And there should, part of the reason that we believe in this strategy of iterative deployment is we want society to see the technology. We want society to really understand what's happening and have a chance to debate, react, sort of say, hey, this doesn't make sense or this isn't going to work for me. This has got to be, I have no interest in building a, super smart AI that accomplishes some non-human goals. This has got to be about something that is working for people and that people are at the center of it and human values are what we drive forward.
But you hear it there from him. It's not a once in a generation thing. It's bigger than that. It's and this is how they talk. It's like the Industrial Revolution. It's like the printing press. It's bigger than the creation of the internet. This is how they talk. What do you think? Josh in Calgary. Hello, Josh.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate chat.
You're welcome, Josh. I'm so happy to hear from you today. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I hope you had a great vacation. It was tough not hearing from you for a week there.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
So for me, it's very similar to a lot of the callers, what they've been saying. There's the good and the bad with it, and in my comparing it to the internet, there's the good and the bad. You're going to have all of the benefits to your everyday society as well as the negatives that you get from the internet. But my big concern is that we're going to be late to regulate this to the point where we have control over it. And I don't want this to be the next cigarettes or vapes where we're too late down the line. And it's already affected the society to a point where we can't control it. And now it's out of our hands. But the impact that it'll have it's across every aspect of our society. The arts, as you were talking about before, large-scale manufacturing, farming, any sort of industry will have artificial intelligence as a part of it. And I'm more worried about how we regulate it and how we control it before it gets out of our hands. So I'm concerned that
we're behind the curve is his concern. We'll be back after the news on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
AI is our topic today. These are our conversation starters. Will AI be revolutionary? Will AI change the world? If you think it's going to change the world, will it change the world for the better or for the worse? At 1-833-668-2577. I want to apologize to Josh in Calgary. I totally lost track of time. I get into these issues and I think about these issues, and sometimes I talk too much and I don't give you enough time, and I apologize to to Josh for only giving him 90 seconds. I looked up and I was, oh my gosh, we've only got a minute and a half left here. Let's go to Dave in Halifax so I don't waste anyone else's time. Dave, hello, Dave.
Yes, thanks for taking my call, Rob. Quite frankly, I think we've opened up Pandora's box. And
oh, really?
I'm going to tell you why. The dark side of it is that it's creeped into our privacy in life. If you think of it, to open up your smartphone, you put your fingerprint down, or you use your facial identification, which could be retina as far as I know. Airports now, Stanfield Airport here in Halifax has facial ID. You look at something, you can refuse to do it and use your passports, but what they're getting to is you look into a AI technology, and it gets your facial recognition. China has a social credit system with cameras. I've talked to people who have been in China. They say there's cameras everywhere, in every street corners, the little alleyways, and you're graded. You're blacklisted, or you get credit scores, and that's where we're sort of going with this, in my opinion. Now, on the brighter side,
so you're worried about the potential for things like mass surveillance, for example, as a concern for you. That would kind of fall under, I think, mass surveillance.
Yeah, it's here whether we like it or not, and it's coming our way, right? I think since 9/11 happened, we opened up the opportunity for government or deep state, whatever you want to call it, to surveil us more, and we've allowed it. And the odd thing is, I shouldn't say odd, we love our devices, right? We'll be rushing out to get the latest of smartphones, young people especially, right? And if you're the older generation like me, if you don't cling on, if you don't figure things out, like if you go to a game or an airport now, and I haven't been to an airport for a little bit lately, but you have to have your phone. You have to have, there's codes that you scan. And if you're not savvy to that, banking's all done online. And but on the brighter side, perhaps in the medical world, technology could be amazing. We could actually live longer. And I will say that now, I know this is not doom and gloom, but I think even Elon Musk said that we're going to be able to apply a chip into us, whether it's on our neck or in our wrist, where we could become actually a little bit smarter, right? A little bit more advanced. We're using it now with people that have impairments of mental state.
Yes. There is that, and physical disabilities. For example, imagine if you can make the paralyzed walk again. For what a tremendous breakthrough that would be. I don't know how open I would be to having a company owned by Elon Musk, put a chip in my head to make me smarter. I'm not down with that. I don't want to be the $6 million man.
Right. But if you could come a little bit more learning the stock market, or have that one advantage over somebody else, you would probably think about it and do it, because you have to keep up with the rest of the folks because they're going to be a little bit more intelligent. Now, I think the only way we can counter this, and God help us if this is the case, universal income. That's the only way that we're going to stop this process, because automation is taking over everything. Just folks, go to the Volkswagen factory in Europe. I think Volkswagen's the second biggest car maker. Go take a look on YouTube and see what they do in that factory. Machines work all night. Nobody calls in sick. It's all machines.
Sure.
There's a few people. Yeah. Anyways, it won't keep the. There's probably
gotcha, Halifax. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, thank you for your call. I mean, some of the leaders like Mr. Altman from OpenAI, Elon Musk, they don't see eye to eye on very much. Of course, Elon Musk of SpaceX and X and Tesla, he says universal. We're all going to have a universal income, and we'll all be better off, and we'll be happier, and we'll be able to follow the pursuits that really give us joy, because everything is going to be, so much of the drudgery will be done by AI. I mean, these are the sort of futures that they see as a result of this. How do you see it? Let's go to Dan in Calgary, a first-time caller. Hi, Dan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, Dan. Good to hear from you today. What would you say, Dan? What are we in for with AI?
Well, I don't think anybody knows, and if anybody tells you that they know, they don't know. It's kind of like that joke about quantum physics. I use AI every day. I use every model. I have max accounts on everything, and I can tell you that over the last 3 years, just on a legal standpoint, on the white collar automation, 3 years ago, it was the case where I would write legal briefs for my lawyers to do stuff, and they would come up with a bunch of errors. Now they think that I'm the smartest person, and I was a lawyer myself. I saved probably close to, last deal I actually added it up, and I think I saved somewhere in the neighborhood of $120,000 on what I estimated to be a $200,000 bill. Just from, in that case, it was a $25 subscription, not the $193. And one of the things that is really crazy is that it's exponentially increasing. And I don't think people understand that. And I know that we're talking about things like automation and AI and all the benefits and the worries that come with it. But when it comes to regulation, our government is way too slow. And further to the call that was already there, Pandora's already out of the box. I mean, there was already free models that are out there that bad actors are using to steal millions and millions of dollars. So when it comes to regulation, really what they're doing is they're arguing over the font and color of the sign text that tells you to worry about the cliff that you just jumped off of. So there's not really a lot of stuff that we can do. I mean, universal income, I think that's something that's going to happen, but it's also gone beyond just white collar work, because you've got Optimus Gen 3, Figure, and the other humanoid robots that are already in factories that are using the general AI, not AGI, but general AI, to basically power those models. I mean, 4 years ago, you couldn't get a digit to walk forward 5 feet and move a box without 6 months of programming. If the box is off by an inch, it's ruined. And now you've got full workload. They just had a live stream with Figure where it went for, I think it was 6 days straight, with 4 different models, sorting packages, and they were basically on stream with the human. So you're getting bottom-up and top-down automation, and it's going to collide in a way that I don't think a lot of people realize how dramatic it's going to be.
Thank you for your call. Very informative. Dan in Calgary, a first-time caller on AI and the future headed our way. Your thoughts, please. This is 1-833-668-2577, our call-in line. Talkback and have your say on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Again, we're talking about AI, the future of AI, and whether you think AI will be revolutionary, change the world. Certainly the previous caller, Dan, thought it would be revolutionary. We're not prepared for what's coming. The government's not prepared for what's coming. Do you think it will change the world for the better or the worse? 1-833-668-2577. Your thoughts on AI. Is the world really about to change in a big, big way? Walter is in Didsbury, Alberta. Hello, Walter.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, Walter. Thank you for calling. What is your opinion?
Thank you. My opinion is that it's a really dangerous kind of thing. Not that it's all bad, because like a lot of your callers have said, and you've said, that there's some really wonderful things that can come from AI. But at the same time, there can be a lot of bad things that come from AI, things that can cause a lot of pain and suffering for human beings. I think that the most important thing that's in a person's life is their ability to think for themselves, right? You have to be able to question and analyze and look at things, right? And if you lose that ability, I think then you become mindless, right? And there are people in the world like to be told what to do rather than to think things out, right? And so when you look at AI, I don't find it all that adequate. You talk to it, and a lot of times it just wants to appease you. It wants to give you the most simplest answer, and it wants society, it wants the community to accept the simple answer and to go away. And the thing is, it's not. There are things in the world that require more knowledge or more ability to think, right? And
yes. So, for example, I mean, one of the mottos of this show, and you may hear it from time to time, is critical thinking is not dead. Kind of pride ourselves on that. We like to think critically here on this show. Right. You fear the loss of being able to, do your own critical thinking, become too reliant on the technology.
What happens is it tells you it tells you a very simplistic, basic answer because it's appeasing you. It wants to please you. And then the answer is so far away from the target, from the exact what you really need. And I've sat in front of the computer with AI, and it's taken sometimes an hour to get it to look deep enough and think and find the correct. And then when I'm starting with it, it's like it's prejudiced. It wants to assume, and then it doesn't take a look at stuff, right? And so eventually you get it to look at it, and it comes back, oh yeah, you're right. You see, this is what this should do, right? So there are good things, very simple things like, you know, making cards or security or things. But when it comes to really complicated, I guess what it comes down to is how great is the mind that's using artificial intelligence. If you have a great mind using it, maybe you can get more out of it, right? And maybe if you have a very simple mind, maybe you can't get very much from it, right? Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm glad you said it. Thank you. In Didsbury today. To Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Paul is in Nova Scotia. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Rob. I'm here.
Hi, Paul.
Interesting talk so far.
Yes.
Been quite fascinating.
What do you think about the future of AI? What do you think is coming our way, Paul?
Well, I was going to bring up what we need to teach our children and everybody else is critical thinking. That seems to have gone the way of the dodo. Not involved with the school system anymore, so I'm still hoping that they teach children how to critically think. I don't know if that's still a thing. But going back to it, personally, I haven't bothered trying to interact with it directly, but I have been observing some things where people have done videos on YouTube using AI and AI-generated characters. And what is quite amusing to me is the fact that it only is quite poor at some of its pronunciations, especially the English language. Sorry. So at the moment, I'm not too frightened of it, but it's going to be interesting to see what it develops at. And as the last gentleman said, it's going at an exponential rate. And I don't know how old you are, Rob, but did you ever see 2001?
Oh, a long time ago. Sure, yeah, a long time ago.
All right. So, yeah, remember the main villain on that was the onboard AI, the AL 9000. Right. Okay.
Right.
So,
so would you say, just to put a bow on this, would you say you're excited about it, or are you somewhat wary of it?
I would say I'm somewhat wary of it, and it's going to be really interesting to see how fast it does continue to develop, which I think is going to be the really scary part.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, good to hear from you. In Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, there are lines available there, folks. 1-833-668-2577 on AI. What kind of world are we headed toward with AI? Share your thoughts, please, today on Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We've been talking about Talkback on Talkback today about AI and whether you think AI will be revolutionary, whether you think it will change the world. And if so, will it change the world for the better or for the worse? I mean, some people, they're talking about AI in the same sort of terms that they talk about Copernicus, saying that the sun, not the earth, is the center of the universe. They're comparing it to Darwin's theory of evolution. These world-changing times. This is the sort of revolutionary technology that we are going to confront, that is going to impact us. Is that how you view it? Let's go to Eric, is in Calgary. Hi, Eric. Thanks for calling, Eric.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, it's very good to hear from you, Eric. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I've got, a lot of opinions on this, but, it's inevitable, I think, as we know, but we don't know yet, but I'd like to take an optimistic view about this because I think it'll create opportunities which we may not know yet. But I think it's easy to focus on some of the negatives, and I think as a society we do that. There's no question job loss is going to be extensive. I mean, CEOs and companies are already proud of cutting jobs to increase, their shareholder value and stock value. I mean, that's happening already. I know you had another caller that was talking about paralegals and lawyers and white collar entry jobs, marketing jobs. I think about Uber drivers. Uber is already talked about removing all Uber drivers at some point, and that's, they've got like 9 million people worldwide driving. Same with truck drivers. That type of role is going to be replaced. They already have Waymos. I don't know if you've traveled in the U.S. and taken a Waymo, but it already exists.
I have not. Yeah. I do. A family friend of ours actually works in that industry, the autonomous vehicle industry.
Yeah. And I don't know if they've said that, but it is the future for those type of jobs. But I do think blue collar jobs will be okay. People who use their hands like carpenters, trades, using their hands that way. I don't think that will go away. Same with sales. I think sales and the people aspect won't go away. You can't necessarily use AI to have relationships or that personal selling side. So there will be opportunities there. But, all this goes down to unemployment. That's going to skyrocket. What are we in Canada right now? 7% or so on average?
Yeah, around 7%, 6.8. Yeah, nationally, 6.8. Higher in places, lower in others.
Yeah, this is, I'm in Calgary, it's around that 7%, but this is going to go in that 15 to 20%. That's going to happen. Well, I think at least 15, and that's not going to be just for Canada. I mean, Canada's on the wrong track already, as we know. So, what's going to happen? This is civil unrest. People don't like the data centers right now. A lot of stuff's going to happen that way.
AI backlash. That's a real thing. Okay, thank you. Opportunities, but things to be concerned about, big things like unemployment. Okay, very busy hour in the first hour. Some very interesting thoughts as well. Love to hear them. Keep them coming in hour number 2 of Talkback, right after the latest breaking news on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Talkback. We've been talking about artificial intelligence, or AI. The federal government is going to release this week its long-awaited strategy for Canada for AI. Evan Solomon, the Minister of AI, will release that alongside Prime Minister Carney sometime this week in Ottawa. What we are asking is whether you think AI really will be revolutionary the way some people are promoting it to be. Will it change the world as we know it, impact us, all of us, in ways we don't even appreciate right now? If it will change the world, do you think it will change the world for the better or the worse? These are just conversation starters. We can take the conversation in all kinds of directions here in hour number 2 of Talkback. All of our phone lines are available at 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. I've been referencing an interview. When these titans of AI speak, it's important to listen to them. They're, at the top of the AI food chain, developing the technologies that they claim are going to be so beneficial to all of us. And Sam Altman is definitely one of those individuals, the leader at OpenAI. He did an interview recently with CNBC. And one of the things that he said is that, and this goes right to Eric in Calgary's call, the last call of the last hour, where he was very afraid that there is going to be a lot of unemployment, a lot of entry-level jobs are going to disappear because of AI. Mr. Altman said that some of the people in AI don't do themselves any favors when they say things like, well, we're going to need a basic income for everyone because AI is going to lead to mass unemployment and it's going to replace so many jobs. Let's listen to TBAI Altman 2, please, Curtis. Roll the tape on that.
Because, we say, hey, AI is going to cure a bunch of diseases. And people say, okay, that's great, but that's not really my question.
No.
My question is, what is my role in the future? What is my economic future? What is my agency? How do I know that my kids, my family will still be able to have a fulfilling, creative expression, struggle to drive the world forward, to grow, to kind of do this thing together in a way that has worked for a long time. And when you have people in AI say, well, yeah, sure, there's going to be no jobs, or 50% of jobs are going to go away, or 90% of jobs are going to go away, and AI is kind of going to be smarter than you at everything, and we'll give you some basic income, but there's you're not really going to have a role. That's horrible. That is and by the way, this AI company, maybe we're going to destroy all the jobs, we'll be the most valuable company in the world. People just look at you and you're like,
yeah.
So I think it's a terrible message.
Now, on this idea that AI could be smarter than humans at everything, there's been some debate about that this week. There is a Canadian named Jeffrey Hinton, and he's become known as the godfather of AI. He is widely sought after for comments on AI, where AI is going. He's one of the earliest researchers into artificial intelligence. And he told people at an event recently that the AI industry is building beings. Okay? And these beings will have machine consciousness. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's this idea. The machines are coming alive. The machines are coming alive. He told people at this event that the AI models that are now being built are now so advanced in all kinds of things, and they're building things all on their own, that it's only inevitable that they will be smarter than the smartest humans. And it won't take a long time before that happens. This is what he told an interviewer in the UK about this idea that the machines could be alive or that they could have machine consciousness. Let's listen to this.
You're talking about them, Professor Hinton, as if they have full consciousness. Now, all the way through the development of computers and AI, people have talked about consciousness. Do you think that the consciousness has perhaps already arrived inside AI?
Yes, I do. So let me give you a little test. Suppose I take one neuron in your brain, one brain cell, and I replace it by a little piece of nanotechnology that behaves exactly the same way. So it's getting pings coming in from other neurons, and it's responding to those by sending out pings, and it responds in exactly the same way as the brain cell responded. I just replaced one brain cell. Are you still conscious? I think you say you were.
Absolutely, yes. I don't suppose I'd notice.
And I think you can see where this argument's going.
I can, yes. I absolutely can. So when you talk, they want to do this or they want to do that, there is a real they there, as it were.
There might well be. Yes. So there's all sorts of things we have only the dimmest understanding of at present about the nature of people and what it means to be a being and what it means to have a self. We don't understand those things very well. And they're becoming crucial to understand because we're now creating beings.
We are creating beings with AI. Whether it's, these LLMs, large language models, let alone the enterprise-grade AI systems, it's just they're becoming so smart, even independent. They're basically beings, like sentient beings. That is the sort of talk that is happening in the AI industry. That it's not just a once-in-a-generation thing. It's bigger than that. Creating a technology that will be so advanced, the machines might actually show signs of consciousness. I mean, when you hear things like that, what is it? Is it hyperbole? Is it exaggeration? Is it over the top? Is it hype? And if this is the case, that this technology is going to be super intelligent and so impactful and No corner of society will be untouched, as Eben Solomon has said. Is that good for the world? Bad for the world? Are we all going to be better off, or could we be worse off because of AI? 1-833-668-2577. It's pretty heavy duty, isn't it? But it can go in all directions. But you have to start the conversation and join the discussion here on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
As we discuss AI and the impact it will have on our lives, for the better or for the worse. What do you think, everyone? Lots of lines available there. You can join the discussion. Love to hear from you today. The wait won't be too long at all. As we go to Zach, he is in Calgary. Thanks for calling, Zach.
Hey, Rob. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very good, Zach. Thank you. Yep, go ahead.
Excellent.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think we talked about this last time, but I am a little nervous, especially when they, some of these higher level tech guys start getting into like theological discussions about AI having sentience, and I don't know. You did mention the Pope came out with an encyclical. Did you read it at all? I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
No, I haven't read it. No, I have not read it. Yeah.
I suspect what he talked about mostly is kind of where you were going with AI. The worries of AI kind of replacing what it is to be a human. And it's not so much that AI is becoming sentient, but it is taking over these like categories of what being human are, like work and dignity, and I think we really need to kind of make sure that we preserve that, because it's all the discussions I hear are about what's it going to do for the economy, good or bad, but they don't talk about you lay off 30 or 40% of the workforce. That's a cataclysmic event, and it makes sense to me why the Pope chose the name that he did, because the last Pope Leo was the one who went through the Industrial Revolution, and he wrote a lot of good encyclicals about what the Industrial Revolution was going to do to people, and what we should do to protect ourselves, and he ended up being right about pretty much 90% of it.
Yeah. So what are you afraid of? What are you? What concerns you? Because you hear it, and we've heard it from callers today. It's inevitable. It's coming. Its impact is here already and being felt already. Their benefits are here already. Drawbacks are here already. What concerns you, Zach?
So the two things that kind of stand out to me, economically. I'm a tradesman. I'm an automotive technician. So I'm not, short term and medium term, I'm not worried about my job at all.
All right. Okay.
Unless these automakers, right now vehicles, they're manufactured by people, but mostly machines, but they're designed to be serviced by people. So if they have some fundamental shift with designing these vehicles to be serviced like on a conveyor belt by robots, like modular, then, maybe I'll be concerned.
Right.
But,
right.
And that goes for other trades too. They design, right now a toilet's designed to be serviced and maintained by a person. But if they somehow design it in a modular way where a machine just comes in and removes a section of it and puts a new one in, then we're in big trouble. And, but
yeah,
the other thing is like I said, these people, I'm sure there's a lot of people that go on AI, not even for economic or for, day-to-day tasks, but they go to AI as like an arbiter for big questions, like why are we here? What's the purpose of human beings? What is this all for? And that kind of concerns me a lot. The idea of getting your spiritual counsel from a robot that's built by a tech company. And I don't know what that's going to do to us long term.
Yeah, and it's been reported in the news, even in recent weeks. Anthropic, which is the company that makes the Claude AI agent, has been having meetings with faith leaders from all the world's major organized religion, and it's having these meetings because the company says it wants to build a moral code into its AI agents, its large language models. So it's been having meetings with Christian leaders and Jewish leaders and Islamic faith leaders and faith leaders from all the major religions, because it says, well, we want our company to have, and our AI agent to have ethics, and to have morals.
Which it should.
My gosh. Yes.
It should have a framework of ethics, like, obviously, but there used to be this kind of, during the COVID years, there was this kind of thought, people were worried about this idea of like consolidating all spiritual and religious thoughts into some like global one world kind of technical. It was like a somewhat of a conspiracy.
Right. Well, this would be like techno-driven monotheism.
Yeah,
is how I would describe it. Right?
Yeah, and it's like, that's a little disturbing to me. The tech companies kind of establishing their own moral framework, and then everybody has these phones in their pocket.
Right. Like, do you want the Church of Chat GPT?
Yeah, no.
No, yeah, I'm going to pass on that too. Thank you. Zach in Calgary, bringing up just kind of one issue. What ethics and morals will AI have, if they'll have any, let alone the people at the top running these companies? 1-833-668-2577. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
AI, the topic on Talkback today. Do you think it will be revolutionary the way the promoters say it will be revolutionary, and that it's going to change the world? If it's going to change the world, will it change the world for the better? Will it change the world for the worse? Ben is in Red Deer. Hello, Ben. Great to hear from you today.
Oh, thanks for taking the call, Rob.
You're welcome.
What I think of this AI is, it is the future. It's inevitable, as the combustion engine was, turn of the century.
All right.
What I say, like, I'm in my 70s, Rob, and I've been playing around with AI for the last year. I want to get in front of this. Not that I'm going to do anything with it, but at least I'll know how it works, know what's right and wrong. Personally, I think let's get ahead of it. Let's learn about it and make your own judgment on what it can and can't do.
Sure. So when you interact with AI, what sort of stuff are you exploring with AI, for example?
What I'm exploring, it's very basic. Composing a letter. For instance, this one company owed me some money. Been trying to get them for a year. So I want, if I go to a lawyer, it's going to cost me money and stuff. So I went to AI and I said, write me a letter, and as if I'm a lawyer, to address these people and get paid. Well, I sent this letter to them as of a lawyer. They're going to take them to court and they're going to do whatever. I was paid within a week. So,
oh wow,
that's the kind of stuff I'm using it for, right? And you just tell it what you want, what you're thinking, and then if I'm getting something from AI, and I think it's AI, now that I've been working with it and playing with it, I can tell if it's a person or if it's an AI-generated item coming at me. I just say, get in front of it.
So when it comes to things like deep fakes, when you look at a video or when you read a story or whatever the case might be, you think you have a better sense of, say, what's real and what's not real, what's genuine and what is AI created.
Yeah. So what I've been doing, I've been embracing it, learning from it, learning it, and getting in front of it.
Are you concerned about it at all? Are you concerned? No. What do you have any concerns?
No, not really. No concerns.
Okay.
I mean,
really.
It's like I consider it a tool. It's a tool that I'm using. that I can use in my day-to-day life. Makes things a little bit easier. But you have to get in there and you have to start, you got to play around with it and just try it. You know? Work with it. Understand it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Just try and understand it so that you're better prepared for it. And like I said, I'm in my 70s and I don't have much time.
But as you say, you know, do it for yourself. Do it as sort of, I guess I would use this term, professional development. You know, you just use it to, you know, explore, experiment, navigate it.
Exactly.
Try and find ways to use it that can be of benefit to you. Okay, very interesting. Thank you so much, Ben, in calling from Red Deer. We will stop here. We'll bring you right up to date on the latest breaking news, and then we'll be right back into this discussion today on where we're headed in a world with AI. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback, 1-833-668-2577. And join our discussion today here on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
AI. That's our topic of the day. Your thoughts on AI? Our conversation starters have been, do you think it will be revolutionary? Do you really think it's going to change the world? If it's going to change the world, will it change the world for the better or for the worse? Let's get back to our phone calls in Lethbridge today. Alfred in Lethbridge. Hello, Alfred.
Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, Alfred. How are you?
I couldn't disagree more with the caller you just had before the break. He's from Red Deer, I'm from Lethbridge, but our perspectives are very different. He sees there's no problem. My son graduated with an IT degree, and he was top of the class, got a job at that same university. And now he's working as kind of almost like a help desk guy. And there are students coming to him with their projects, their papers, and they're asking him to run it through their AI detector, their AI, the software. They have a software that if you submit a paper, the professors can tell if it was generated by AI or if it's your original work. And they're asking him to run it through, and then it comes back with a level of confidence that the AI detector says this was 100% guaranteed, generated by AI, and the student is going to fail that because of it. And so they try to dummy it down or change just enough of it to get away with this. Now these guys they're trying to game the system early in their academic careers, but they're also going to be the people that eventually are going to be designing bridges and sewer systems for cities and engineers and like you think about the implications later
water sanitation
on,
systems, public health systems. Yeah, I mean, the list is endless, right? Sure.
So what's their level of competence? Would you go to a doctor that you think maybe got his assisted degree from AI? What confidence do you have in that level of, I mean, they're designing the airplane you're going to fly to Mexico on? I don't think so. So I think the implications are vast, and we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg now.
Okay, so you have great concerns.
And
this has been brought up. This has been brought up earlier in our show about maybe there will be some significant decline in the ability to think critically, in critical thinking.
So what my kid is seeing is the easy way out. Because university's hard. So, and the students I went through university, I have a degree in accounting and a degree in education, and it's hard work. So if a guy could take the easy way out, does he? Well, sometimes he does. And that's the danger of this, is what happens if the guy that designs, you name it, whatever. I mean, in Calgary, I'm not in Calgary, but in Calgary out here, we had a major sewer line or a water line break a couple of years ago, and it was a massive thing. Well, can you imagine if the guy designing the infrastructure for your city maybe isn't the guy you thought he was when he got that degree?
Oh, Really interesting. Thank you for sharing your perspective in Lethbridge today. Let's go to Kitchener. Sarah is in Kitchener. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, Sarah. How are you?
Very good. I like AI. I'm sorry, but I understand we're going to go through our bumps, and there, people are going to cheat, but people cheat in all ways of life. So, there are a lot of people that got degrees and that have cheated that are on the streets already, not through AI. So I do feel that that AI is handy. Like for me, I just bought a brand new car, and the car turned out to have a lot of issues with it. So get a lemon car, and it turns out that we don't, but AI told me what to write to the dealership, to keep records of everything, and how to escalate the situation if needs to be escalated. So I've also used it many times. It can write a business plan. So if you want to open up a business and you're having a hard time figuring out where to go, the bank wants a business plan and you don't know where to start on that. Maybe you want to open up a restaurant, not necessarily you're highly educated, but you can open up a restaurant and the bank wants a business plan. But, you don't know how to do that. You go to AI, hey, how do I write up a business plan? And AI is going to tell you step by step how to write up a business plan. Or like a family trust. I wanted to do a family trust for my family, and I didn't know anything about a family trust and how to start a family trust. AI walked me all the way through it.
Yeah. Okay. So you have found it to be beneficial. You have found it to be beneficial in your life. It's already helping you with your own, productivity and your own problems. It's solving problems for you that maybe you wouldn't or would take a lot of time to do. Right. You don't want to go hire a lawyer or fight a car dealership or, meet with a financial planner, whatever the case might be. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can use it in so many different aspects. I don't know. I really like it. Like I just feel like, wow, I could just ask AI this and I could go in somewhere and actually figure out how to do something that I otherwise, like a family trust, I would have been like, what, a family trust? How do I do a family trust? But AI just walks you right through it and tells you what questions you should be asking, how to set it all up, what your next steps are. So I don't know. I think it's very beneficial.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah in Kitchener, for your call. More of your calls just ahead on Talkback. That number again, 1-833-668-2577. On AI today, the future of AI, the opportunities, the perils. This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
So I am not AI. I am not an AI chatbot. You can talk to me and we can have a real world conversation about AI. And whether it's really going to be revolutionary, whether the world society will be better off or worse off because of AI. I've been mentioning these remarks from Sam Altman from OpenAI, one of the titans of the AI industry. And he told CNBC very soon AI is just going to be there. It's just going to be there. It's going to be part of our lives and we won't even think about it. And it will be there to help us, he says. To help us with anything that we might need. Let's listen to that.
Right now, you still send a request to an AI and it does something for you and gives you an answer back. But very soon, an AI will just be running for you in the background all the time, helping you with your job, looking at all your information, aware of all your context, doing as much as it possibly can to help you out. And I can already tell in that world, I and everybody else is going to want so much more of this AI infrastructure than we think.
I mean, I listened to that. Can you play that just one more time? It's a very short clip. There's a bit of noise in the background. Just play that one more time.
Right now, you still send a request to an AI and it does something for you and gives you an answer back. But very soon, an AI will just be running for you in the background all the time, helping you with your job, looking at all your information, aware of all your context, doing as much as it possibly can to help you out. And I can already tell in that world, I and everybody else is going to want so much more of this AI infrastructure than we think.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to overthink this here, but I do think about what he's talking about. AI will just be running in the background all the time. All the time. It will look at all your information. That's what he said. It will look at all your information. It will be aware of your context. He said it will be aware of your context, and it will be there to help you when you need help. My takeaway is he thinks you're going to love it. Okay, no matter what you do. Gosh, it's kind of Star Trek-y, isn't it? If you watch The Next Generation, you just picture like a member of the Star Trek crew saying, "Computer, da 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 da," and the computer just does it. I mean, is that the world we're about to enter? What star date are we in? Let's go to Debbie is in Calgary. Hello, Debbie.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, you're welcome, Debbie. Yeah. How do you feel about AI these days? What's your take on it?
I think it can be really good, can be really helpful. I do worry that some of like what your other callers were saying, that it's taking away the critical thinking, because I think it can be used as a tool to help refine and edit what you've developed. But if you're just asking it to develop content for you all the time, you can lose those skills. But I think my biggest issue with AI right now is just the lack of legislative framework universally around the use of it, around how it should be used, around safeguards, around, what is considered criminal with AI, what isn't. And I just think there's a lack of urgency, like from around the world, about doing something about this. Like, I think it needs to be as urgent as it was after the World Wars, and they said, let's come together, let's not do this again. After the Nuremberg trials, they said, this is not okay, we need to address it. And I just what worries me is that lack of urgency, because it's moving so fast and policy can be so slow. So I just worry that it's moving too fast for safeguards to put in place.
Okay, so I have mentioned in Ottawa this week, the AI strategy will be unveiled by the Prime Minister and the Minister of AI. We have one of those now in the government. Evan Solomon is the Minister of AI. So what, this is apparently 6 components to it. I haven't seen it yet. Nobody has seen it yet. What sort of stuff would you like to see in there?
I think something around the use of AI for minors, for sure. I think it's similar conversations that you've had on the show before, kind of around the social media use. It's within that same vein. I guess so. Recommendations, around how it should be used, what type of work, that type of thing. And maybe even something about, we've heard a lot about unemployment. Like, I don't know if there needs to be something in there to help reassure, like used in tandem with skill sets, I don't know, that we already have. I don't know. I don't know exactly how they're doing it.
Well,
but
maybe some sort of focus on job creation around AI. What's our job creation strategy for AI? How do we teach people to work in the AI industry?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's a good start, at least that they're going to unveil this strategy. And I just hope that around the world, there can be the same type of, strategies and frameworks being developed.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Thank you, Debbie, in Calgary. I mean, the promoters of it say it's going to be great for you. It's going to be great for someone, doing something as simple as looking for a recipe or looking for a hack to do a home repair. Maybe it's you're in the doctor's office. It's beneficial to the doctor or the teacher in the classroom or the student in the classroom or an engineer on the job site or a farmer in a field. These AI prophets are saying these AI models are going to be smarter than any person you have ever known in your entire life. And all of this it's not going to happen decades from now. It's happening now. And we just haven't been hit by the full impact. That's how they're talking about the technology. And if that's the case, doesn't it sound great? But what should we be considering? What are the concerns here with AI in the world we're about to enter into? This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Thank you for all your calls today. It's so encouraging that so many of you are paying attention and giving these issues some thought. Some people think AI is all a bubble, that we're in an AI bubble, that it's vastly overhyped. People are saying, look at the stock market. It's constantly hitting new records all the time, despite the state of the economy. So some say it's a bubble. We're in the AI bubble. There's just so much buzz and hype and excitement around AI, and it's only the AI stocks that are really fueling the stock market rally. It's Google, it's NVIDIA, it's Oracle, it's Google, and all of these stocks are the big AI plays. And you have other companies, they want to cash in on the gold rush right now. OpenAI, as I mentioned, ChatGPT is going to do an IPO, sell shares to the public. SpaceX is going to do an IPO. The biggest in the history of Wall Street, they say. And there's an AI component to that. XAI is an Elon Musk AI company. Grok. And you look at the most valuable companies in the world right now. It's all big tech. NVIDIA, Apple, Google, Microsoft, TSMC is Taiwan Semiconductor Company. I mean, the only company ranked high on the list of the world's most valuable companies that's not a tech company is Saudi Aramco, the state oil company in Saudi Arabia. So some people, they watch the stock market and they're saying it's a bubble, man. It's a bubble. Now, the head of SoftBank was asked about that, and SoftBank is a big Japanese conglomerate, makes major investments in AI. And the CEO of that company said he thinks AI is going to be 50 times bigger than the dot-com boom. He said, and I'm quoting here, "This is the biggest revolution of technology and realization that mankind has ever experienced." Biggest revolution of technology in human history. In all of human history. This will be the biggest. He was asked about the dot-com crash because the dot-com bubble burst and some tech companies that were worth billions and billions of dollars, they're just no longer around. Hello, Netscape. And he says there's always a correction. And he said the 2000 dot-com bubble was just a small bump in the road. Just a small bump in the road. I remember I was on the business/technology beat when the dot-com bubble burst. Back in the year 2000, the NASDAQ went from a high of 5,000 all the way down to about 1,100 on the NASDAQ main index. And now you look here today, 26 years later, the NASDAQ's at 27,000. And all the richest people in the world, they're all in technology. Elon Musk, the Google guys, Larry Ellison, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and others are saying the bubble might burst, but that's not going to stop this. It's still the biggest technological revolution any of us are going to live through. Now, one of the major concerns, especially when you read a report in the Canadian news media today that 85% of the data center infrastructure in Canada is held by 3 big American tech companies, is that power is just going to become that much more concentrated. And you think about the money that these companies are planning to invest in their AI businesses. Because they have shares on the stock market, they have to tell investors how much they're going to spend on AI businesses this year. It's an astronomical amount of money. Meta, $145 billion. Google, $190 billion just on AI. Amazon, $200 billion. Amazon is going to spend on AI. It's huge money. It's hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. OpenAI says it's going to spend $500 billion over 4 years. These companies are going to spend hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars developing AI, building all the infrastructure that's going to be needed for this technology. Now, one of the questions you have to ask is, are we being naive to think these huge tech companies are going to do this for humanity's benefit? Spend all of this money? Or will they do it for the benefit and power and wealth for the founders of these companies and their shareholders? I'll leave you with that today and be back with a new topic tomorrow on Talkback on News Radio.